And how has, because obviously now we're in the pandemic, coronavirus has affected football across all levels. For those that don't know, can you talk about how coronavirus has affected Brentford and the league you're in?
Yeah, so our season, I think we'll have a little bit of a discussion later about this, but our season was null and void. So it was just completely cancelled. The season just, became voided. So, the teams at the top didn't receive anything and at the bottom didn't get relegated. So essentially next season will be this season again. I personally agreed with that, and we can, we will be talking about that a little bit later on. But yeah, it essentially just stopped, and the season got, locked off.
Yeah, and kind of that does differ to the Football League and also the Championship and the Premier League, because obviously these leagues have been kept in place. They haven't been null and voided. They've just been kind of postponed temporarily, and now obviously we're seeing a lot of sports leagues, especially like the Bundesliga. They've started this. I think this is like the second week, and all these things are done because of money. At the non-league level, money is not a big thing in terms of they're quite local teams. They play within their local divisions and their respective regions in the UK. But obviously in the Premier League, you've got a global audience. And in terms of because of like the amount of money being missed out by not playing, they're kind of, in their eyes, they've been forced to postpone it and put lives at risk, despite there being a pandemic, in trying to restart, the league. In terms of the money lost, I've got let me get the table up. So in terms of the money lost, the Premier League, I think, was predicted to lose around 750 million from like not playing, from the league being like non-voided or just cancelled. And because they've now decided to start the Premier League on June the 12th, or respectively, put that as the date to start, I believe they've kind of recouped around half the money, so 340 million. And
they'll still be losing 300,
Yeah, they'll still lose around 300 odd million. But, you have to kind of look at it. With coronavirus, obviously, there's a risk, with lives. Quite a few Premier League players have been kind of diagnosed. Hudson-Odoi was, I believe, the first one like a month ago.
Yeah.
And now there's a Watford player. In the Championship, there's 2 Hull players that have been diagnosed. Brighton had a few. And it's just like, what do you do now? Because say the league starts on June the 12th, and obviously because now Watford and Brighton are compromised, what happens to their fixtures? You can't just cancel them out of the league, because now that causes fixture issues. Some teams have played them twice, some teams have played them once. So I don't know what they propose in terms of how to move forward.
Yeah, I mean, just to get my opinion out there before we start the discussion, I think we agree that the return of as a fan, there's nothing I'd like to see more than the Premier League returning and seeing football matches again. I mean, and all sports, NBA, Formula One, I would love for all of them to return, but I just think it's very irresponsible and very, I think they're putting, economics over public safety. As a decision. I mean, I can talk about, the fitness issues that that the players might have as a result of returning in June.
But before sorry if I interrupt you, before we go on to the injuries, I think just to kind of show like the significance of this. So the 5 major leagues, the Prem, the Bundesliga, La Liga, Ligue 1 in France, and Serie A, only Ligue 1 has been cancelled. That's the only league out of the 5. And that's been due to a government order. The French Prime Minister and the local government, they say, look, coronavirus is too serious, and if we restart the league, there's too much risk. And I think that is kind of, we both agree that is the way to go. No matter how much you love sports, football, basketball, whatever, coronavirus, because of the high chance of it being spread. And yes, we can understand that, fit and healthy people are less likely to be affected in terms of the symptoms they show. However, they can still pass it on, to their family and other vulnerable people that might not be as, healthy as them. And with the Bundesliga starting, they had to start because out of the 36 teams in Bundesliga 1 and 2, 13 of them were at risk of insolvency and kind of falling through. That's how, because I think that showed that was a financial decision. They're playing with no fans, and I don't know how I assume they're going to try and finish the league now. We'll see if there's any more cases. In terms of the Prem, we said before, June 12th is when it comes back. La Liga is the same. However, La Liga, unlike other leagues, I thought they want to use 197 fans. So that's quite interesting. I'm not sure how they're going to do that. They might put them like 2 meters apart or however far apart based on government orders.
Quite silly.
Yeah, it's quite silly, in fact. And Serie similarly, June 15th. And quite an important thing, I'm not sure about the other leagues, but the Prem, they obviously now they have a coronavirus 19 officer that has to oversee, what they're doing. What that is, no one knows. I remember they had a survey with all the doctors, physios, and other medical staff there at various football clubs, and around 50% of them had no idea what it was. So, what is the way forward? Like, we don't know. I think one of the worrying things is obviously injury is a big thing now. We briefly spoke about injury spikes during the Christmas due to how compact, the games are. You're playing about 3 a week sometimes. I remember Liverpool this year in their Super Cup fixture, when they won, they had to play, I think, 4 games in 7 days or something ridiculous like that because of they couldn't reschedule the timetable. And I think the same thing is going to happen, with football. We've seen the first case of injury. Do you know João Felix, the Portuguese youngster at Atletico? He tore his ligaments yesterday, I think, or the day before. So this video is being filmed on Tuesday, the 26th of May. So that would make it Monday the 25th or Sunday the 24th. I saw a report on Bleacher Report where he kind of tore his ligaments, and I was telling my friends, this is going to happen. And
it's a big possibility. I mean, I was looking at there was an interview with an ex-Liverpool physio. His name is Andy Renshaw. Apologies if I mentioned his name wrong, but he's been at that the highest level, and he spoke a little bit about how the structure of how physio works at those clubs and how to get them match ready. They have extremely specific regimented routines that they have to follow, and and his opinion, and he's the expert, his opinion was that even at the moment they're using Zoom calls, they're using Skype calls, to WhatsApp, etc., to do these training sessions. That's simply not enough for the players to return with a reasonable risk of injury to allow them to play. And I feel like that's one of those things that's gonna end up ruining the experience for football fans anyway. We obviously never hope for any player to get injured, but you have to analyze the risk. And the way that physios do that is through a lot of data that they can collect through face-to-face contact and assessments, and that's absent at the moment. So how are we gonna, how are players gonna deal with, you'd think that, they're fit, they're football players, they're just naturally athletic. That's not enough with sort of schedules that the Premier League has. Every single day of the week is very rigorous and, and structured for this high level of performance. It's not your local club that you're playing with. It takes a lot of work, and that's going to be absent. And I'm not sure what they're doing with the idea of a preseason, because they need those non-competitive matches to get their joints and everything you need before playing, or otherwise I don't see how it's going to happen. They've spoken about a couple of possible adaptations, such as having more subs. And,
I think they said 5. They wanted to do 5, I think.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I'm not sure if that will be sufficient. I mean, you're going to have your starting 11. I mean, think about it. What if, one of the best players in the league gets injured? I think people's perception of all of this will change.